Affordable medicine for all. China's Central Asia Pharma Partnership extends Belt and Road Initiative. Haji Akbar Isa has been devoted to natural medicine research for decades. The 58-year-old is the deputy chief of Xinjiang Technical Institute of Physics and Chemistry at the Chinese Academy of Science, CAS. He also worked as the director of the Central Asian Drug Research and Development Center, CADRDC, for 10 years since its establishment. As a researcher, I think technology is decisive to push our society forward and increase people's living quality, said Isa. We need to strengthen our technology cooperation. According to Isa, the CADRDC plans to set up a collaborative lab in Kyrgyzstan later this year. Launched by the CAS in 2013, the project is also slated to kickstart another lab in Turkmenistan next year for closer scientific research cooperation. The five-nation joint platform already has 5 collaborative labs. They work with national institutes in Uzbekistan, Tajikistan and Kazakhstan on scientific research, including natural medicine, biological medicine and resource cultivation. The center is one of the first 5 overseas science and education bases established by the CAS as one of the key projects in cooperation with Central Asian countries. It has attracted the best minds from the top institutes from China and Central Asian countries. The most avid participants include China's Xinjiang Technical Institute of Physics and Chemistry under the CAS, Shanghai Institute of Materia Medica, Kunming Institute of Zoology, Uzbekistan's Institute of Chemistry of Plant Substances, Tajikistan's National Academy of Sciences, and Kazakhstan's Al-Farabi Kazakh National University. After the construction of the labs, the center will operate and function more closely as a platform for scientific research of indigenous medicine in Central Asian countries. It will also help train more local professional researchers in drug development. Fruitful development. The project has already proven fruitful in its first 10 years. It has completed the research and analysis of 46 types of Central Asian medicinal plants and isolated 686 new compounds, laying a solid foundation for studies on innovative medicines and biological diversity. In 2016, the center built the China-Uzbekistan Medicine Technical Park in Tashkent to commercialize scientific medicine research into products. We are currently looking at 5 promising compounds that may be used for the new medicines, Isa told CGTN in an interview. 5 drugs have already been approved for production in Uzbekistan, and 4 of them are original drugs, he said. VV116, an antiviral medication for adults with mild to moderate COVID-19 symptoms, is one of them. Isa said over 20,000 boxes of VV116 were produced in and used for people in Uzbekistan during the fight against COVID-19. The China-Uzbekistan Medicine Technical Park also produced more than 100,000 boxes of Rutin, an antiviral drug, for residents during the pandemic. Other drugs include an innovative drug TPN-171 that treats hypertension and arteries in the lungs, and a drug for chronic hepatitis C. The center also makes some innovative traditional Chinese medicines, TCM, for clinical experiments. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the center helped build a COVID-19 testing facility that carried out over 30,000 tests and vaccinations for over 3,000 people. Affordable drugs for local people. The center has provided local communities with Chinese pharmaceutical technology to produce drugs that serve local needs. Isa said Central Asian countries have many unique herbal resources but lack the technology to extract the effective element and make it into drugs. He said China's pharmaceutical technology can advance their capability in the field to make the drugs more accessible and affordable compared to the imported ones. We brought Chinese technologies, but the drug production is carried out locally, he said, adding that TCM complements the local drug demand, which helps open the market for TCM in other countries. The visiting doctors at the center also promote traditional Chinese treatment, such as cupping, massage and acupuncture for locals. The treatments are gradually gaining popularity in Central Asian countries. It's just the beginning of our attempt to provide medical treatment via the center, said Isa. He said a China-Uzbekistan friendship hospital is also on the horizon. We are pitching to the Ministry of Science and Technology and National Administration of TCM to push forward the project to help more people in Uzbekistan have more and easier access to medical treatment. In addition, the center plans to promote personnel exchanges for scientific studies among researchers from both China and Uzbekistan. Both sides will send around 100 to 150 researchers and experts for collaborative scientific studies, said Isa. Apart from constructing labs in Kyrgyzstan and Turkmenistan, he said there will be a second phase of investment in Uzbekistan. We'd like to share the experience of how China applies its innovative technology to the health industry to all Central Asian countries, he said. London to Sydney in just 2 hours? Air travel's fate may take cosmic turn. Presently, a London to Sydney flight can take up to 22 hours. However, a study published in a peer-reviewed scientific journal suggests that commercial suborbital space flights could revolutionize travel by drastically reducing the journey time. In a groundbreaking development, holidaymakers could soon embark on a journey from London to Sydney in a mere 2 hours, thanks to suborbital space flights. While the current cost of these flights exceeds £350,000 per seat, regulators anticipate a future where such trips become widely accessible. The UK's Civil Aviation Authority, CAA, is investing in medical studies to explore the effects of suborbital space flights, which involve briefly launching travelers into space before swiftly descending to their destination. A recent CAA-funded study, conducted in collaboration with King's College London and facilitated by the Royal Air Force, RAF, revealed promising results. It found that most individuals handled the G-forces of suborbital travel well, paving the way for its potential as an ultra-fast, point-to-point mode of transportation. This research indicates that individuals of varying ages and fitness levels could embark on these expeditions, with older adults potentially demonstrating an advantage in adapting to the demands of space travel. UK aviation and space medicine consultant, Drive. Ryan Enderton expressed confidence in the benign physiological responses of most passengers. He highlighted the potential benefit for older individuals, citing their stiffer arteries as a factor that could mitigate the pooling of blood away from the brain during suborbital flights. While the current cost of suborbital space travel remains prohibitive for many, the CAA's investment in medical research signals a commitment to advancing this futuristic mode of transportation. As technology advances and costs potentially decrease, the prospect of reaching far-flung destinations in a fraction of the time is inching closer to reality. China's top legislature to inspect wetlands conservation law enforcement. The Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, NPC, China's top legislature, will send lawmakers to 6 provinces between May and July to inspect the enforcement of the wetlands conservation law. The NPC Standing Committee will also entrust local legislature in 8 other provincial-level regions with law enforcement inspection, according to a meeting of the law enforcement inspection groups of the NPC Standing Committee on Tuesday. According to the meeting, lawmakers will inspect law enforcement from 7 aspects, including how local governments and related authorities fulfill their statutory duties of protecting wetlands and wetlands utilization and restoration. The NPC Standing Committee will hear and deliberate a report on the law enforcement inspection in late October. The Wetlands Conservation Law was passed in December 2021 and put into force on June 1, 2022. World record: U.S. professor marks 74 days of life under the sea. University of South Florida professor Joseph DeTore, also known as Dr. Deep Sea and a member of the Neptune 100 research project, has broken the existing world record for the longest time underwater. A U.S. professor was recently proclaimed as the only person in the world to stay underwater for more than 74 days. The previous record was set in 2014, when another scientist lived underwater for 73 days, 2 hours and 34 minutes. The record is a small bump and I really appreciate it, DeTore said. I'm honored to have it, but we still have more science to do. The explorer has been living in the Jules underwater capsule off the coast of Florida since March 1, 2023, with a goal to spend 100 days underwater, that is, until June 9. Since the start of March, DeTore has conducted daily experiments and collected a variety of medical data, changes in weight, muscle structure, blood pressure, vision and hearing, recording all observations in a diary. He also keeps sleep and stress logs. Additionally, from his temporary underwater accommodation, where he has internet access, the professor teaches his own course at the University of South Florida and gives public lectures about the current project. "The thing that I miss the most about being on the surface is literally the sun," he told the media. "The sun has been a major factor in my life. I usually go to the gym at 5 and then I come back out and watch the sunrise." University officials believe the experiment has the potential to prove that life underwater is indeed possible and may even prevent diseases associated with aging. Scientists attribute this to Dettori's own findings. He noticed that cells doubled in size within 5 days under high pressure. Fukushima greets summer with dread as nuclear-contaminated wastewater dumping approaches. The Fukushima prefecture in northeastern Japan is known as the Island of Happiness, which embodies people's longing for a better life. Summer began in Fukushima in early May when locals normally looked forward to intimate contact with the sea. However, despite strong opposition at home and abroad, the Japanese government and the Tokyo Electric Power Company, TEPCO, are set to go ahead with the plan to dump the nuclear-contaminated wastewater from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant into the sea this summer. As summer approaches, the Global Times reporters went to Fukushima Prefecture. In this first installment of this field investigation, the Global Times reveals the palpable sense of fear and unease hanging over Fukushima, paired with intense opposition from locals who chanted, "Never allow arbitrary dumping into the sea." Quote, "Boarding the Hitachi express train from the Tokyo station and heading northeast, through Ueno, Mito, and Isahara among other cities, the vast ocean filled the field of view. For the 215-kilometer, 2 hours and 25-minute journey, the train slowly stopped at Iwaki Station in Fukushima Prefecture. Iwaki is a coastal city in the southeastern part of Fukushima, facing the Pacific Ocean with a coastline spanning 60 kilometers, and is an area of about 1,232 square kilometers, with a population of about 323,000, both of which rank largest in the prefecture. Iwaki Station is a transportation hub connecting Miyagi and Ibaraki prefectures. About 54 kilometers away from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, the city looks subdued with few passers-by along the streets. The excavation of an underwater tunnel for the project to drain the nuclear-contaminated wastewater from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant was completed in April, and TEPCO announced that it is expected to complete the construction of the tunnel by the end of June. Measuring 1,031 meters long and 1 kilometer away from the coast, the tunnel will allow radioactive wastewater to be dumped into the sea. In a car headed north along National Highway 6, the Global Times reporters found it quite a change from the scene in 2017. 6 years ago, the road was littered with collapsed houses, rust-covered street signs, and crumbling shop signs, a time capsule of the March 11 Japan earthquake and tsunami. Now the ruins have been cleared, but reconstructed houses are still uninhabited. The Japanese government purchased the land along the road and cleaned up the disaster area. Although with sporadic construction, the land is still overgrown with weeds. A huge compound filled with black plastic bags containing irradiated soil, which was seen on a previous visit, have also been removed and moved to an intermediate storage facility built by the Japanese government. A police car whizzing by brings the reporters back to reality. After passing 2 coal-fired power plants, Naraha, Tomioka, and Akuma towns, the car turns into Futaba, and the Fukushima Daiichi and Daini nuclear power plants are suddenly within reach. 1 kilometer away from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, a sign reading, "Passcard confirmation, barred entry." 2 security guards barricade the road. As soon as the reporters got off the car, a security guard brandished a warning stick and came, motioning across in the air, an indication not to approach. The reporters tried to obtain some information from the guard, but regardless of what they asked, the security guard repeatedly replied, "Please contact TEPCO." The security guard asked the reporters to leave immediately, saying sternly, as commanded, "You're not allowed to alight at all." Quote, one of the Global Times reporters who had been there 6 years before remembered that people were allowed to walk up the mountain last time people could glance inside the nuclear power plant from the top. Additionally, they were able to walk up to the grid fence of the Fukushima power plant. This time, however, only a single road remains open with passcards necessary to be granted entry. All other entrances into the facility are barred, making the path up the mountain impossible to trace. The plant is even more isolated. No turning back. The environment is opaque, the more people have something to say. When the Global Times reporters set out to interview some Fukushima residents remotely, they were very enthusiastic about participating. They not only expressed their willingness to talk in person, but also repeatedly asked if there was anything they could do to help. Chio Oda, co-chairperson of an environmental NGO in City Assembly, Stop Polluting the Oceans, was one of them. Summer is coming. What's going to happen? Fukushima greets summer with fear, said Oda, who expressed strong concern about the dumping of nuclear-contaminated wastewater at a conference themed, Don't Nuke the Pacific, on May 7. The Japanese government has reached an agreement with the fishing community that nothing will be done without the fishing community and other stakeholders' understanding. Nevertheless, the Japanese government is apparently breaking its promise and is preparing to dump the water, which is likely to start this summer. When the Global Times reporters met Oda, the 68-year-old woman had just returned to Iwaki from Fukushima City, the capital of Fukushima Prefecture, early that day, with Kazuyoshi Sato, another co-representative of the city assembly. Oda had driven for 2 hours to the Fukushima prefectural office to hold a press conference to announce that a mass rally called May 16 Tokyo Action will be held in Tokyo on May 16 to urge the Japanese government and TEPCO to stop dumping the nuclear-contaminated wastewater. Oda told the Global Times that the campaign will last all day on May 16, when anti-sea pollution campaigners from all over Japan are meant to gather in Tokyo. As planned, they will gather in front of the TEPCO headquarters at 10:30 a.m., and then head to the House of Representatives with lawmakers to hold the rally. The rally and petition to the Japanese government and parliament will be followed by a speech at the Hibiya Open-Air Concert Hall in the evening. It will then be followed by a massive demonstration in Ginza, Tokyo, which is expected to be attended by more than 1,000 people. The sea of my hometown, the sea of Japan, and the seas of the world must not be polluted, said Oda. Oda noted that the Japanese government, TEPCO, the Fukushima Prefectural Federation of Fisheries Cooperative Associations, and the National Federation of Fisheries Cooperative Associations of Japan signed an agreement in 2015, stating it would not do anything about the nuclear-contaminated water from Fukushima without the understanding and consent of the relevant people, but now the Japanese government and TEPCO insist on dumping the water despite opposition from all parties, including fishermen. Such behavior should not be allowed, said Oda. People's trust in the government has weakened, and the thought that there is no turning back once the nuclear-contaminated wastewater is released into the sea has increased daily fear, Oda said. Accompanying Oda was 74-year-old Tsutomu Yoneyama, a member of the city assembly. Yoneyama had been engaged in chemical-related work before his retirement. He told the Global Times that from a professional perspective, tritium and other radioactive substances are poisons, and once they get inside the human body, the exact impact on health is unknown. There is very little research on this subject, and this is a deliberate move by the Japanese government, said Yoneyama. If anyone wants to conduct research on the matter, the government will cut funding, so there's very little relevant data and information. Yoneyama cautioned that releasing radioactive wastewater into the sea carries a potentially high risk of miscarriages for women and diseases such as leukemia, but that it is difficult to prove a direct link to the discharge, and therefore difficult to win damages in lawsuits, which is also scary. It is worth mentioning that the interview with Oda and Yoneyama took place at a Japanese-style hot spring hotel named Furutakia, where books on the Fukushima nuclear accident were displayed in the lobby on the first floor. The banquet hall on the 9th floor has been converted into a research hall on the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, called Furusata, Hometown. Even if visitors don't patronize the hotel, they are still welcome to visit and use the makeshift research hall for free. Yoshio Satomi, 55, the 16th generation owner of the hotel, also opposes the wastewater release. Satomi said that in the 328 years since the hotel was established, Furutakia has only had a few closures occasioned by the two world wars, the Japan earthquake and tsunami of 2011, and the Fukushima nuclear accident, and could have only survived to the present time thanks to the support of the local people, so he feels a duty to protect his hometown. This is the sea we want to protect. Global Times reporters who visited Fukushima felt the overwhelming sense that locals had something to say. Concerns about there not being enough interviewees and voices were swept away during the visit. Yoshitaka Ikarashi, the Japanese representative of the SUMI platform, the Japan-China Common Market Promotion Association, has been working on the revitalization of Fukushima since the March 11 earthquake. He contacted the Global Times reporters when they were on the train to Iwaki and said he would like to be a guide and explain the local situation. "Come on. I will take you to see the sea. Otherwise, you will not understand the determination of Fukushima's residents to protect the sea," the 45-year-old Ikarashi said when meeting the Global Times reporters for the first time in Iwaki. He took the reporters to the Suizo beach, 14 kilometers away from Iwaki Station. It was one of the areas hardest hit by the March 11 earthquake and tsunami. At that time, the area was almost flattened by the 8.51 magnitude tsunami. But restoration work is well underway with rebuilt roads, houses, and other infrastructure, along with a new crop of coastal shelter forest vegetation. Along the coast is a white lighthouse. After climbing 103 steps, people can enjoy a panoramic view of the Pacific Ocean where the sea meets the sky. Overlooking the waves crashing onto the vast beach and the mountains in the distance, the Global Times reporters finally understood why the people of Fukushima are struggling to protect the sea. "Look. This is the sea we want to protect." Ikarashi told the Global Times that he and his family have fond memories of living by the sea, eating the catch from the same sea, surfing, and frolicking with their children. The people of Fukushima live just like them, having enjoyed the bounty of the sea for generations. If the nuclear contaminated wastewater is dumped into the sea, future generations will no longer be able to enjoy the beautiful nature. Ruiko Muto, who lives in Tamura, Fukushima, is the head of the Association for the Victims of the Fukushima nuclear accident. After the accident, she worked hard to hold the former management of TEPCO accountable as a member of the legal team for the Fukushima nuclear accident and the criminal prosecution team. Muto told the Global Times in an email that ALPS-treated water, used by the Japanese government and TEPCO, contains many other radioactive substances besides tritium, making it not safe at all. Under such circumstances, attempts to release the radioactive wastewater from Fukushima into the sea must not be allowed. Muto said that as summer approaches, her group will join forces with other civic groups and continue to express opposition through protests and rallies. Dumping not only way. In an on-the-spot interview, Global Times reporters noted the intense concern over whether ALPS-treated water, as the Japanese government and TEPCO refer to it, is safe, and whether there is an alternative to dealing with the wastewater. Hideyuki Ban, a Japanese nuclear expert and co-director of the Tokyo-based Citizens Nuclear Information Center, CNIC, told the Global Times that the nuclear-contaminated wastewater contains 64 radionuclides, including tritium, some of which are very long-lived and cannot necessarily be diluted. The compounds can accumulate in the ocean and attach to fish and shellfish, and some of them can enter the body of marine organisms, causing human beings to be exposed to nuclear radiation after consumption. Even if the wastewater is treated and released into the sea, it is not safe. There is no precedent in the world for dumping such wastewater containing 64 radionuclides into the sea, he said. The capacity of ALPS to remove radionuclides and the amount of the nuclear contaminated wastewater to be discharged are not fully understood, let alone gaining the understanding and consent of stakeholders. Under such circumstances, it is not allowed to arbitrarily discharge the wastewater, he said. Ban noted that there are other ways to dispose of the wastewater. For example, there is the option of mortar solidification, where the nuclear contaminated wastewater is mixed, solidified, and stored in mortar as in cement production. What the Japanese government has done is based on a political decision, not one based on scientific research, Ban criticized. Some observers believe that the Japanese government is trying to draw a line under the Fukushima nuclear accident by draining the water. Muto said the Japanese government has said that the water dumping is necessary to push ahead with the project of decommissioning TEPCO's Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station units 1 to 4. The problem, however, is that even if the nuclear contaminated wastewater is disposed of, key issues such as whether nuclear fuel debris can be removed from the Daiichi plant remain unresolved. The government plans to decommission the reactor in the next 30 to 40 years, but it has yet to give a clear explanation of how long it will take to complete the project and in what condition the facility will have to be in order to qualify as successfully decommissioned, according to Muto. Surrounded by the sea, Japan gives thanks to the gracious sea as a prosperous maritime nation, on Sea Day, held annually on the third Monday of July, which is one of the statutory holidays in the country. Born by the sea, the locals reached by the Global Times could not help but express their deep concern and fear that if the sea is polluted, it will be difficult to enjoy the sea's success in the future. Cute but fierce. 450 mln-year-old sea scorpion fossils found in China. Researchers from China and the United Kingdom have discovered fossils of a previously unknown Eurypterid, more commonly referred to as a sea scorpion, dating back 450 million years to the Ordovician period in East China's Zhejiang province, the earliest recorded in the country. A joint working group led by the Nanjing Institute of Geology and Paleontology, Chinese Academy of Sciences, reported the rare Eurypterid from Wenchang Formation of Anji County. The study was published in the Journal of Paleontology earlier this month. Having a round head with a parabolic shell, the 15 cm long species looks cuter than previously found Eurypterid species, said Wang Han, a major participant in the research and a PhD student with the institute. However, it was actually a fierce ocean predator, Wang added. Zhang Yuandong, a researcher with the institute and also a member of the research team, said the Eurypterid found in Anji is the earliest recorded in China, shedding light on the early evolution of Eurypterids. Fossils of other marine life found in the deep sea, such as sponges, were also discovered. The emergence of new materials and the progress of paleontological research methods will provide the basis for further comprehensive studies of Chinese Eurypterids, said Zhang. First monitoring images by China's latest precipitation satellite released. China on Monday released the first set of images from FENGYUN-3G, FY3G, the country's first precipitation measurement satellite in a low-inclination orbit, helpful to better monitor and forecast severe precipitation systems. The monitoring images were captured by 6 payloads aboard the FY3G satellite. They show the three-dimensional, 3D, structure of precipitation at different levels. These satellite-borne payloads include 4 operational payloads, namely Precipitation Measurement Radar, Microwave Imager, Medium-Resolution Spectral Imager, and the second-generation Global Navigation Satellite System Occultation Sounder, GNOS-2, as well as 2 test ones, Near-Infrared Multi-Angle Polarization Imager and High-Precision Calibrator. The Precipitation Measurement Radar, the main payload, is the first of its kind in China. Adopting Ku-Ka band dual frequency, the measurement radar, mainly used for precipitation monitoring in catastrophic weather systems, can clearly observe the internal 3D structure of typhoons, rainstorm, blizzard and other precipitation systems. The satellite captured the 3D structure of the precipitation system in a severe convective weather system that appeared in South China on May 7, for which the National Meteorological Center issued blue alerts for rainstorms and for severe convective weather. With a lifespan of 6 years, the FY3G satellite has been developed by the 8th Research Institute of China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, and its ground system will be built and operated by the China Meteorological Administration, CMA. It was launched from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in northwest China on April 16, marking the third precipitation measurement satellite in the world capable of proactive measurement, and making China the only country in the world that operates meteorological satellites in 4 near-Earth orbits, said CMA. The satellite will ramp up monitoring and forecasting of cloud and precipitation under the severe weather system, and meteorological disaster prevention, reduction and relief capacities against the backdrop of global climate change, said CMA. In the end, R&D is necessary for every developed nation.